announced that on Tuesday, Trump won re-election, which is, to put it mildly, not what I was personally hoping would happen. And honestly, in Trump's victory speech, he couldn't seem to believe it either. He's basically one sentence away from saying, I mean, you guys saw what I did, right? And you still voted for this? That doesn't make any sense.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Raise your hand if you've ever chosen a slightly better deal over doing the right thing. No judgment here. We've all been there. But what if that choice wasn't just about you, but the entire country? That's the dilemma facing American voters right now. We're gonna dig into why so many of us are willing to put our wallets first, even if it means letting democracy take a back seat. Trust me, it's more relatable than you might think.
Being a shambling verbal mess is part of Trump's brand, but it is still incredible to see an incoming president ad-lib a victory speech with the same energy as a best man who didn't realize he had to give a toast. And if you are anything like me, first, as always, my deepest sympathies. But it's probably been hard to deal with anything other than this. The tiniest moments this week where the world was going on like nothing had happened, that was posted on Twitter the day after the election, only to get responses like, not now, girl, not now. And Tyler reading the room with a gif of Leah Michelle.
So, remember when your wallet felt heavier and gas was cheaper? Turns out a lot of folks do. It's like Trump waved his magic comb over and suddenly everyone's piggy banks were overflowing. Or at least that's what he wants us to believe. Trump's been strutting around like he's the economic messiah, claiming he's got the golden touch when it comes to making America's wallet great again. But hold on to your MAGA hats, folks, because things might not be as rosy as our orange friend would have us believe. Now, I know what you're thinking, but John, wasn't the economy actually getting better under Sleepy Joe?
How did this happen? What comes next? And what do we do now? And let's start with, how did this happen? The truth is, it is too early to have a definitive answer to that, but that has not stopped people from taking some big swings anyway.
She failed to capture enough support among white voters, men, and first-time voters.
A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Just able to pass off as news. Congratulations to you, Scoldilocks. You must feel amazing right now.
Well, funny you should ask. The Wall Street Journal, not exactly a bastion of leftist propaganda, reported that the next president would inherit a remarkable economy. Remarkable? That's what I call my cat when she doesn't knock over my coffee mug, not the US economy. But here's the kicker. While the big numbers were looking up, a lot of folks were still feeling the pinch. It's like being told you've won the lottery, but your bank account is still crying. Families were struggling to put food on the table, and not just because little Timmy refuses to eat anything that isn't shaped like a dinosaur. Let's dig into some numbers, shall we? Inflation rates were higher than Trump's ego. Job growth was about as steady as his Twitter feed. Oh wait, it's X now, isn't it? And gas prices were more unpredictable than his hair color. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a Mar-a-Lago golf cart.
People are pointing the finger in all directions, from Latino voters to young men to Joe Rogan. You can basically spin your own personal wheel of blame and generally make sure it lands on whoever you were mad at in the first place. You are right that they can't take away your dignity, but only because you just surrendered it willingly there. I know that she's trying to do a nice thing there, but why would you try and cover Whitney Houston? And look, I am not saying the campaign didn't make mistakes, but the reasons why specific groups vote the way they do in elections tend to be something you can only puzzle out later once all the data comes in.
So, is the economy really better under Trump, or is it just smoke, mirrors, and a whole lot of hot air? Well, here's the truth bomb. Trump's economic claims are about as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Sure, things looked good on paper during his term, but let's not forget the little thing called COVID that crashed the party. The reality is, economic recovery is more complicated than Trump's tax returns. Biden's been cleaning up the mess, but it's like trying to mop up a flood with a paper towel. People are still feeling the squeeze, and that's what they remember when they head to the polls. But here's the thing, folks. The economy isn't the whole story. It's like judging a book by its cover. If the cover was spray tanned and shouting fake news at you, there's more to this circus than just dollar signs and gas pump numbers. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive into the real reason Trump's got everyone talking. And it's not just his choice in ties. Remember when you could turn on the TV without seeing Trump's face? Yeah, me neither. It's like he's the world's most persistent pop-up ad, but instead of selling you miracle weight loss pills, he's peddling presidency. But hold on to your remote, folks, because we're about to uncover how this non-stop Trump show might be rewiring our brains. Trump's media presence is like a bad rash. It's everywhere, and it's really hard to ignore. The guy's got more airtime than a Kardashian with a new lip kit. But here's the kicker. Even when the news is calling him out, he's still winning. It's like he's got some kind of reverse Midas touch, where everything he touches turns to gold. For him. Now you might be thinking, okay, but John, isn't most of what he says, not true? Well, congratulations on having a functioning brain, but here's the thing, it doesn't seem to matter. Trump's social media strategy is like a toddler with a sugar rush. Constant, chaotic, and somehow still effective. He's tweeting or Xing or whatever we're calling it now, faster than you can say kofef. And people are eating it up like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. But it's not just social media. Trump's TV appearances are like a car crash. You know you shouldn't look, but you just can't help it. And the more we see him, the more we might actually start to like him. It's called the mere exposure effect, and it's not just for Instagram influencers anymore. The more Trump pops up on our screens, the more familiar he becomes. And suddenly, that orange tan doesn't look so bad after all. So how does the grumpy Trumpy turn all this attention, even the bad stuff, into votes? It's like he's got a superpower for turning lemons into really bitter, angry lemonade. When the media criticizes him, he doesn't just deflect, he reflects it right back at them, calling it fake news and making his supporters feel like they're part of some exclusive club that knows the real truth. And let's not forget the humor. Trump's public appearances are often more absurd than a clown at a funeral. But that's part of the appeal. It's like he's hosting a reality show called Who Wants to Be a President? And we're all unwilling contestants. Meanwhile, poor Kamala Harris is over here trying to have a serious conversation about policy, and it's about as exciting as watching paint dry in slow motion. It's not that she's boring, it's just that compared to the Trump circus, everything else seems like C-SPAN at 3 a.m. So there you have it, folks. Trump's media mastery isn't just about being loud, it's about being everywhere, all the time, until we can't remember what life was like before we all became unwilling experts on the state of his comb-over. It's a strategy that's as effective as it is exhausting, but hey, at least it's never boring, right? Right? So here's the mind-blowing truth, folks. Trump's win isn't just about politics or the economy, it's about us. We're the heroes in this story, but we're being led down a pretty sketchy path. We're choosing our wallets over our values, and that's a dangerous game. But don't worry, all hope isn't lost. We can still turn this ship around. How? By using our brains. Next time you see a headline or hear a politician promise you the moon, take a minute to think. Is it too good to be true? Probably. Remember, democracy isn't just about voting. It's about staying informed and making choices that are good for everyone, not just our bank accounts. So let's start asking questions and demanding real answers. And hey, maybe democracy does need an update, because right now, it's got more bugs than a Florida swamp. But unlike your phone, we can't just turn democracy off and on again. We've got to fix it ourselves. So let's get to work, shall we?